Hello out there in the void. TV Rizzo's here again. Did you miss me? Yep, I took a whole day off before deciding to throw another review your way. Well, here we go. So, I decided to dust off a movie I haven't seen in, if I had to guess, 5, 6 years or so. Probably a little longer. And probably with good reason, because it's not a movie you need to see very often, if that much. And that is Chernobyl Diaries. Yeah, it's it is what it is. But I will say that having been so long, I did forget a lot about this movie, but I did remember something. So that does say something that this movie did stick in my mind a little bit since I last saw it. I remembered the most of the ending and the general basics of the setup, and as it went along, a lot of it did come back to me. But the one point that I convinced myself was is that this was a found footage film in my memory. And it seems like it's almost the law for any movie after the Blair Witch Project and Paranormal Activity that has to be that's called Diaries, has to be found footage. There's a lot of them. Diary of the Dead, I'm looking at you in particular. But this one is not found footage, actually. But it's shot like it is. So what that means is, the opening sequences are done found footage style with the guy walking around with the camera, which kind of tricks you into thinking the rest of it's going to be, particularly since the camera style does not change. It keeps moving around as if someone's with a handheld camera looking around. So it does make you think it is, but then you realize, wait, who's holding the camera? None of them are holding the camera because we just panned over and saw everyone. So it seems to be like the movie's trying to put you in the film, but then every so often it'll cut to an angle that, would be outside the safe zone of where the characters are, so it's weird. It's a little disjarred to be at the same time part of the action and not part of the action. So personally, it was more of a distraction than anything else. So I don't know what they were intending with it, and I'm gonna probably blame that a little bit on the writing slash producing in this case, since this one was written, produced, and screenplay done by Oren Pele, who is most known for Paranormal Activity. So I think he was trying to generate something similar to that, but without anyone actually holding the camera, the aspect of it kind of fell flat. Also, just a little side note, bit of a tangent. I hate these kind of cases. If you have I like Blu-ray cases. They're sleek, they're thin, they're nice. They're something just. I like the blue tinge to them. They're pretty. I like them. Repackaging them into one of these things is, well, more durable, annoying. So occasionally buying them used hasn't really worked out in that regard. If anyone knows a good spot to get cheap discount Blu-ray cases, let me know. Anyway, I could probably figure it out. I just haven't bothered to look. Right, this movie. See, there's only so much to talk about with this one. I mean, it's fine for what it is, but it's not spectacular. I mean, it's shot on location for a lot of the action, which does help. I can never remember the name of it. That's gonna drive me crazy. But anyway, the plot of the movie is a group of tourists are making their way across Europe, and they meet up with I guess what passes for the main character. Meet up with his brother in forgetting where they met him. I just watched this movie earlier today. All the details are already fleeing my head. But they meet him before moving on to Moscow. But he decides to, hey, we could, instead of doing that, we could go to, there it is, Pripyat. Go see Pripyat and Chernobyl, because we found this guy, Yuri, who does extreme tours, and he is willing to take us there. At first, my memory said that Yuri's tour was kind of illegal and they were sneaking in, but that wasn't the case initially. It is an actual legitimate tour. But when they try to get in, he's told no, he can't. They're told no, can't go because there's maintenance going on in Pripyat, which Yuri finds strange. Which I will say, and then so they just decided to kind of take a different detour and sneak in. I would say that was a nice subtle way of kind of hinting of a little bit of what that something weird is going on because Yuri does say, okay, this is really strange for my tourism. They usually alert me, so it did make it sound like something was happening there, but without calling too much attention to it. So on a on a repeat viewing, you pick up on it. This first time, I don't think I really did for what's going on. So as they have some fun touring the city. There's a CGI bear attack, and just when they're starting to go back, well, the car doesn't work, and they're stranded. And at night, things come out, including irradiated rabid dogs, and some other things seem to be lurking in the darkness. And it goes from there of them trying to survive. Most of them being injured or picked off here or there. So, what can I say nice about this film? The gore effects are good. And particularly as the characters do get exposed to radiation, they do some nice work with the burns. Okay, give that some points there. Detraction, how the shaky cam and the lighting makes it really hard to see the... For a minor spoiler, it's the things hiding out there are people who, I guess, didn't flee the site that the government's covering up, and they're irradiated and savage and feral, so... And I guess they escaped into the city, and now are attacking the people who are there. So you can barely see them. You can tell they're... So at first it's deliberately not showing them, which is fine. I'm okay with that. When you're supposed to be seeing them, and the camera's just flashing by way too quick, yeah, it's not really working. So you can barely see the makeup effects on them, and I can barely tell you what they look like. Not good. But I will say they make good use of Pripyat and the atmosphere there. It was engaging seeing them even just wandering around the place. It was fascinating to see. And the characters, like most movies of this type, aren't unlikable. Yeah, one guy is kind of a bit overbearing in regards to his brother, but everyone else, yeah, they're fine. And the Yuri the Doer guy is fairly likable. When he gets stressed, though, you kind of sympathize with the guy. So the group actually is decent, and the acting's pretty well done, particularly when they have to act through their injuries, and it's working. So there are a lot of good things I could say about this one, but there's the detractions of it just being a standard movie of this type. It's essentially The Hills Have Eyes in Chernobyl, but without the over-the-top intensity that makes Hills Have Eyes so cringe-inducing. Particularly like the remakes of Hills Have Eyes, where it's woof. This one lacks that punch. And without that, it's just a poor man's Hills Have Eyes. So there's nothing really that rises it above that. So for me, this one, I'll give it a 3, and even not that high of a 3 on my MacGuffin charts. It's okay. But the few things that are detracting from it are noticeable, and the things that are good about it don't bring it up. So, it's okay. Don't know if there's really much else to really even talk about because it is so just cookie cutter movie of this type. People go to abandoned location, are beset upon by family of X, but it's just that. So, I mean, it's not doing anything to raise the bar, but there we are. I will say, this one did star, actually. Is it, oh, why am I blanking on it? Well, it say on the back here? That's odd. That's everyone but the actors. Weird. I just want to make sure I was correct on who I was about to say was in this, because as before, this movie's going right out of my head. Jesse McCartney, that's it. Jesse McCartney is one of the leads in this, actually, and he was the only name that I really recognized. And yeah, he does a good job in this one. As I thought he did a great job acting in it. So yeah, and I didn't really at first even recognize him. So yeah, okay. Chernobyl Diaries, I guess. Give it a pass unless you're really fascinated by. If you want to see some interesting shots of Pripyat and the Chernobyl area, it's okay. But as a horror film, it's just average. I mean, personally, I've got a soft spot for just watching an average run-of-the-mill horror movie every once in a while. There's something comforting about it, which is why I watch a lot of movies like this one or The Pyramid when I did that review, or a few I've got upcoming that are on there. Sometimes you just want something right up the middle. It's something to just zone out to. You don't have to think too much. You don't have to get too invested in. Sometimes you don't want to watch a great movie. Sometimes you just want a little bit of junk food. And that's what this serves just fine. Okay, I think that's all for me on this one. I've rambled enough. Alright, have a good night.